My sister is 27 and I'm 18. We lost our dad a year ago. He was our only parent as our mom was never in mine or my sister's life. Our dad left a good chunk of inheritance money for me and my sister. She instantly blew her inheritance on luxury items like new cars and renovated her house. My brother-in-law wouldn't allow me to stay with them, so I'm currently living with my aunt at her house. I want to become a doctor and haven't picked my branch yet, but I know it's going to be expensive. My sister and I haven't been close ever since she got married to her chronically ill husband who was allowed to make backhanded comments about my dad and mock his illness, then make a scene at his funeral. This was all allowed because he's ill and shouldn't be held accountable for his behavior. I've distanced myself, but recently my sister kept visiting and venting about my brother-in-law's condition. He's been in and out of the hospital for heart problems and in need for a surgery. She brought up my inheritance money several times, but I ended up cutting the conversation short whenever it was mentioned. She then straight up asked if I could help pay for her husband's surgery and she'd pay it back in less than a year. I felt uneasy because if I give her the money, then there's no guarantee she'll pay it back before it's time to pay for my tuition. I'm taking a gap year, but I know my sister can't pay that much back and I felt like it would be risking my future. When I refused to help, she had a meltdown at my aunt's house calling me heartless and cruel with no empathy. She said that her husband's health should be priority and I needed to help her because education is nothing compared to someone's health. She then asked if I'd be happy to see her as a widow and my nephew with no father. My aunt suggested others pay, but most of them cut my sister and her husband off. I argued that her husband's poor health isn't my fault after she kept blaming me and guilt-tripping me. She kept crying, and although my aunt decided to stay out of it, she said I should be prepared for permanent damage in my relationship with my sister if I don't help her now. She's been sending texts and pictures of her family telling me that this is what I'm saying no to, a happy, healthy family with a healthy husband and father. I broke down and I feel like I'm being a terrible aunt and sister. However, when I asked my friend for advice, he said to let them sell their cars and luxurious stuff they bought to afford the surgery and warned me that if I give her the money now, I'll never get it back and may not be able to go to medical school. Am I wrong for refusing to pay for my brother-in-law's surgery? Storytime about how I intercepted a kidnapping with my pee. I was working as a pizza delivery driver and was having a really busy night, non-stop back and forth without any time to even take a bathroom break. We were going through a bit of a heat wave in our area, so I had also been drinking copious amounts of water. All of a sudden, as I was driving to this particular delivery, the urge to go hit me like a ton of bricks. Thankfully, I was close to the customer so I could get this one over with quickly. Or so I thought. I pulled up to the house and it was in an area I'd delivered to before, so I could immediately tell that something wasn't right. All the lights were off in the house, not even the glow of a television or anything. It was extra apparent because the street light closest to the door happened to be out of order, and to top it all off, the block was dead quiet. This is a big university area and obviously there aren't many student renters in July, but there had to be at least one person because someone ordered this pizza. It was scorching that night even after sundown. My car's AC is a joke and the piping hot pizzas don't help things much. I called the customer and the voice on the other end sounded out of breath saying, "Yeah?" I said, "Hey, it's your pizza out front, but there doesn't appear to be anybody home." Then the customer replies, still gasping for air, "Yeah, I'm not home." At this point, I felt like my bladder was about to burst and I was much less patient than I'd usually be with a customer right out of the gate, so I replied, "Well, then we're going to have to terminate the order because I've arrived in the stated delivery window and you were supposed to pay in cash, so I don't know what to tell you. Plan ahead next time." I instantly regretted letting my bladder do the talking for me as the voice on the other end came through more clearly as a young, bubbly, and very distraught girl who couldn't have been older than her 20s. She apologized over and over, saying that she lost track of time at work but knew I was coming and she's literally running home right now. She followed up with, "Please don't leave. I'm starving and don't have a car. Seriously, please don't leave. 5 minutes tops, okay?" I know what it's like to be hungry, running late, have no car, and not live near any restaurants. Plus, hearing her voice reminded me of the last few times I delivered here and she'd always been so nice. I felt bad for snapping at her and tried to walk it back while simultaneously looking for potential spots to pee. I apologized to her and told her no rush and that I'd see her when she got there. I started scouting for places to pee, but all the houses were close together and offered no clumps or trees or anything. It was at emergency level now and I had to do something. The safest bet was to use the bush in front of the woman's house. She wasn't home and the streetlight was out so no one would see me. I went to the biggest cluster of bushes to avoid splatter and released. After the initial millisecond of relief, I noticed the sound was way off, more like peeing on something solid than something leafy. I couldn't make out what it was in the darkness, but all of a sudden I heard a deep voice exclaiming, "What the fuck?" Before I could turn around thinking I had been caught by a neighbor, a man came leaping out of the bushes. The guy in the bushes blew by me, brushing off my golden shower. He spit emphatically on the ground, so I think I got him right in the face. I didn't see where he went after a few paces, but the next part was a bit of a blur. I remember hearing a car screech out after a minute. I got in some night vision at this point, so I was able to make out his general features. I was in shock and stood there trying to figure out what happened. My mind was searching for a reasonable explanation that could make sense of why that man was hiding in the bushes. I started coming up with reasons, but my inner voice was screaming, "Bruh, that man was wearing a hoodie in 90-degree weather. That was a bad man. You're in a bad situation." I still tried to make sense of it and flashed my phone light into the bushes. That's when I saw a bag slightly splashed with pee. This was going to make it all make sense. Once I opened it, I saw a sharp knife, a roll of duct tape, and a bottle of pills. This is when all the delusions broke and my fight or flight kicked in. I dropped the bag, got in my car, and booked it. I called the police and frantically explained everything. The dispatcher was able to calm me down and said he was sending out units. That's when I got a text from the customer. "Hey, I'm here, but I don't see you." I was overwhelmed with guilt and rushed back to her house with my heart pounded at my chest. When I got there, I waved her down and flashed my lights. She bounced over to my car, all happy-go-lucky. I kept whispering, "Get in, get in." And she was like, "Get it? Huh? You want me to get the pizza from the back?" I quickly replied, "There was a man in your bushes. I'm on the phone with police. I don't know where he went. Please get in the car so we can lock the doors." The police came soon after and took our statements. It turns out the reason she got into my car without probing any deeper is because she knew who the man was right away from my description. She had an abusive ex-boyfriend who was apparently psychotic enough that he immediately came to mind from hearing, "There's a guy in your bushes." She later called us to thank me and insisted on leaving a huge tip, but our manager refused and promised that the next time we see her, we'd load her up with enough.
Am I the asshole for kicking my sister-in-law out after she threw away most of my single-use baby products and even formula? I am a 19-year-old female. I have a 3-week-old baby girl. I do still live with my parents, but since I pay rent equally, they say I can have just as much of a say in who comes and goes from the house as they do. I've never actually taken advantage of this rule until recently. I have a brother who's 26 and his wife is 24. They're crunchy parents to an 8-month-old. Basically, what that is effing stupid. They use reusable wipes, nappies. Think formula is the epitome of evil. Baby wearing. The list goes on and on. I'm the complete opposite. Pacifiers, supplementing with formula due to low supply, disposable wipes, and nappies. They are completely against the products I use and often give me things like sister-in-law's breast milk in bags, disposable nappies their little one has grown out of, etc. I've used some, but it's really just not my cup of tea. On Monday night, my brother and sister-in-law were minding my baby for me since it was my birthday, and my baby's father, we're not together, but we are very close friends and we co-parent very well, took me to get some dinner in one of my favorite fast food places. It was great and really relaxing. When I got home that evening, my sister-in-law said that she did some cleaning and threw out anything I don't need. This immediately gave me red flags, but they were in a hurry to get out the door and left almost immediately. When I went into the nursery, every disposable nappy and white pack were gone and replaced with some reusable cloth ones. Same with my formula. There were 8 tubs and all of it was gone. I'm not able to replace them at the moment, and solely breastfeeding isn't sustainable for us. I was extremely angry and I just turned my phone off to avoid being mean to my sister-in-law. She and my brother came over yesterday to collect something they forgot, and that was when I confronted her. I told her she has to replace everything she dumped. When she said she can't afford to, I said, fine, just get out and don't come back until I've been reimbursed or everything is replaced with the original items. My brother thinks I'm being a massive a-hole, and he's on his wife's side. Our parents think I'm being completely reasonable here, but they think I'm taking it too far. Am I the asshole?
My number one question on TikTok is, why did you get blacklisted from every single sorority? Why did you start Kappa Rapha? What's going on here? I never addressed it because it's a lot of petty drama stuff and I'm not really a petty person, but I think it's time to tell my story, and it's kind of crazy. My whole life, girls have been pretty mean to me. I think that's a reality that a lot of us deal with. Girls could be intimidated by my looks or something, or think that I'm a bitch, and I'm not. I'm a girl's girl through and through, so it always really hurt my feelings when things like that happened. I played volleyball at this school my freshman year, and I felt like the team didn't really like me that much, and it sucked. So I'd always visit Delaware because all my friends went there, and then I transferred, and it was a great decision. I'm so happy that I did that. So my sophomore semester, I'm transferred, I'm at Delaware, and it's amazing. I'm making so many friends. People are telling me that, oh my God, you're top tier sorority. Like, you're so cool. You're so this, you're so that. I had such a blast. It was amazing. And I was so excited to rush. So you rush in the spring semester and it's like in 2-week blocks and you talk to girls for hours and hours and hours. So it was finally time for me to rush. And I was so freaking confident. I thought I was so in. So now it's spring semester and I always wanted to be in a sorority. I felt like I wanted that big group of girlfriends and I thought that would be so exciting. And I did really well. I talked to so many girls. It was like a 3-day event. It was like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, nonstop talking. And I made so many connections. I did really well. And I was so excited. I remember I skipped out of the building because I was like, I just did so well. I'm so pumped. This is amazing. I'm going to make the top tier sororities. I come back the next weekend, so excited, brand new Air Forces on, full face of makeup, so ready to go, and you get a list on your phone of what sororities want you back. And boom, 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 canceled. I think there was 14 sororities. I was canceled. I think I got maybe 1 back. I dropped to the floor crying in front of everyone. It was the most mortifying, embarrassing thing of my whole entire life. After that happens, you just gotta go home and cry. I was so depressed, probably for a month, super embarrassed. I remember people would make fun of me at parties and say that I got blacklisted from every sorority, and oh my god, it was so mortifying. I had no idea why it happened. A few months later, I figured out what happened. These two girls wrote a letter to Panhell saying I was a bully in high school. I didn't know them in high school. And it was because one of their ex-boyfriends had a crush on me. So they completely rigged the system to make sure that I didn't have that experience. And at the end of the day, I learned that when something really bad happens to you, there's a reason. Because now I have a TikTok career. I honestly want to send them flowers at this point. Don't be a mean girl. It's not going to get you anywhere. And look at me now. I'm having fun. I'm doing great. So that's my story. And I still don't really know exactly what happened, but that's pretty much the basics.
When I was in my early 20s, I was working at a grocery store, and we hired the 17-year-old, and one night I was working the registers, and he was stocking the shelves, and he walked up to me with a couple of boxes of tampons, and he was like, "These are expensive." And I said, "Yes, they are." And he was like, "And you need them?" And I said, "Yeah, I do." And he said, "Doesn't this make you angry? They're so expensive, and it's like you have a monthly tax just for having a different biology than me. Doesn't that make you mad?" And I was like, yeah, it does. And he said, "And you realize that the only reason that they can charge you this much is because the tampon industry is an oligopoly." And I had no idea what oligopoly meant, and I was like, yeah. And he was like, "Somebody's got to fix this." And then he said, "Are the cheaper ones, what's the difference between the cheaper ones and the more expensive ones?" And I said, "Well, the more expensive ones are less uncomfortable than the cheaper ones." And he said, "Oh, so these are the comfortable ones." And I said, "No. They are the less uncomfortable ones. It's very different from being comfortable." And he was like, "Somebody's got to fix this. I'm going to fix this." And I don't know where he is today, but I still think about that exchange all the time. One of the most memorable talks I ever had with my dad was when we watched Taken for the very first time. And if you don't know the plot of Taken, you should by now, because what happens is Liam Neeson's daughter gets kidnapped, and Liam Neeson goes on a murderous rampage, and he rescues his daughter. And after the movie ended, the credits were rolling, and my dad turned to me and he was like, "Listen, I can't do any of that. So you be careful, because if you get kidnapped, you're gone. Okay? And you be extra careful because we live next to the ocean. And if they get you on a boat, then you're really gone." And I was just like, thanks, Dad.